always.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to the Lebanon Utility Service Board meeting, April 20th, 2016. Let everybody know we did meet at 3:30 in a working session, and at that point, we made no decisions or no actions were taken. And we do have everybody here today, so we don't have any members missing. And Linda, we properly notified everything, correct?
Sure did.
Perfect. With that, I invite everyone to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes from April 6th meeting?
I'll make a motion, we approve the April 6, 2016 minutes.
Second.
Motion second to approve the minutes. Any questions, comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. I believe, I'm not sure who's going to go with this. Bob Holden from Wessler Engineering to talk about the project management report.
The project management report? I'll let Cherry talk about the project management.
Okay, Charity's going to do that one then.
I thought I was getting out of it. All right, good evening, everybody. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the project management, not go into any specifics, but generally, Mr. Whitman had asked Wessler Engineering to come in and assist him and Mr. Waples and the board in kind of assisting with getting their projects all in order so that the board and Mr. Waples has a better idea of what they need to be budgeting for, both monthly, quarterly, and annually. So we've been working with Bob to look at his projects, both current projects that are going on and projects that are proposed for the future, to look at the budgets and look at the scheduling. And we produced a couple of documents that the board can use to help them with their budgeting and forecast their expenditures and just prepare for the construction projects coming up. And also looking forward to foresee any coordination that might need to happen between future projects. We can identify that coordination early on. It is a living document, so it'll be updated monthly as the current projects are under design or construction, as those are updated, and as we learn more details about the future projects. So with that, I look forward to working with everybody here. Thank you.
Great. And
You.
Thank you.
first draft of that was wonderful. We
Yes.
like that. Thank you very much
Yes.
for that. So does anybody have any questions for Charity or comments? Nothing? Great. Thank you for that. Mr. Whitman, I believe you're going to talk about wastewater review project.
As requested, Wessler Engineering has prepared a proposal to conduct an audit of our water and wastewater departments. As we all know, we have recently increased our wastewater rates. We have ongoing projects, and we will have several significant water and wastewater projects over the next few years. This proposal from Wessler will allow them to review our current operations, staff credentials, our systems, processes, and infrastructure programs to help us better prepare for our future. A report with recommendations and a 6-month critical path action plan will be provided in approximately 2.5 months. I ask the board to accept this proposal for the not-to-exceed amount of $28,000. Are there questions?
Jeff, you got a chance to look at this?
Yes, the agreement is in good shape.
Okay. Right. Anybody have any questions or comments for Mike on this?
So moved.
I believe I heard a motion to approve the Wessler Engineering agreement for a wastewater and water department audit for an amount not to exceed $28,000. And giving Mike, General Manager Whitman, the authority to sign that agreement.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion or comments? All in favor of approving it?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion would carry.
Thank you.
Bob Waples is here to talk to us about a couple of things. We'll start with Grant Street.
GAI is doing the engineering for the Grant Street project. It started out as a storm water project, and we are a sanitary project, I'm sorry, not water. And it is a project where we're trying to separate the two, since we don't take care of the storm anymore. So in that, we've had some meetings with GAI about some changes that we had to do to the project, which included acquisition of some easements so that we could do some borings across. Part of the project is to go from the lift station across the creek and over to the west side of the creek. So we've also had to look at the easements acquiring easements across the front as well of Grant Street properties from Edgewood Drive down to the lift station. Those things, since we changed from the original scope, which was to follow behind those homes, which was the existing easement. For this, GI is asking for an additional and not to exceed amount of $14,200 for this agreement in the change of scopes of services that is being asked.
Bob, this is the project where we're going to get rid of the pipes that go across
That is,
Prairie Creek, correct?
it will get rid of the pipe that goes from across, that is where Ann Street is, that comes across. It'll get rid of that small line that's sticking way up in the, above the flow line. It will also get rid of the two gravity lines that go across at the Grant Street Bridge. So both of those will be good. That'll help improve conditions for Prairie Creek's flow conditions, so it won't block flow, catch debris near as much, and allow water to get through there. They're always having to clean these things off. It's just, and this will also take care of all, not just the pipe structures, but the concrete abutments that are in there too.
And you're anticipating construction beginning in July on that?
Well, we're hoping, but we haven't got it nailed down for sure.
Okay, great.
So the DNR is requiring a permit to remove the existing pipe out of the waterway?
No, they did not. Originally, DNR has not complained about the pipe structure, nor did they complain about the abutments. We believed that it was a good project just to be able to make those improvements to get
Well, the
it.
reason I ask is because part of this amendment includes
DNR.
preparing a DNR permit application to address the removal of the existing aerial sanitary sewer crossing. So I take that DNR is requiring a permit to remove it.
When we make a change in there, that we had to go to DNR. It's not that they, so that was a process that we had to go to DNR and tell them what we wanted to do, and they, that's part of that. So making it a change inside that creek, we had to get a permit from DNR. Gary, that was all that's why we went to DNR. It wasn't because they were telling us that we had to get this stuff out. No,
Well, we need a permit to do the work.
we need a permit to do the work.
Okay.
Right.
So DNR allows us to put a pipeline under the creek,
Yes,
under their general permitting procedure without a permit, but they're requiring us to get a permit to cut one off.
yes, basically, yes.
Yeah. Effectively, okay.
Wow.
Yep. Wow is right, but that's the way it is.
Any thoughts or comments or questions for Mr. Waples on this?
I make a motion that we approve a GAI Consultants Amendment Number 4, adding additional work associated with the sanitary improvements on Grant Street for a not to exceed amount of $14,200, and authorize General Manager Mike Whitman to approve the Stormwater Management Report and executed by their president, Dick Robinson. We'll have it.
I have a motion for a second from you.
Yeah.
Question.
Go.
Is that 14,200 for utilities, or is part of that to be shared with stormwater?
The 14, that's for
The
the,
amendment.
that's for the water, or I mean, for the wastewater.
Oh, it's
That's
just
our
strictly
side.
for the waste. Thank you.
Mhm.
Their part's going to be on 21-2 in this next page. Okay.
So I guess my only question then for the board, then that may be answering it, but do we want to make that motion conditioned upon the stormwater approving their portion?
I believe it is. isn't it?
Okay, is that,
Mm,
After approval of the Stormwater Management Board and execution by President Dick Robertson.
okay.
Does that
That'll
cover it?
cover it, yeah, I apologize.
We can still do our project without the storm board doing their work.
Okay, that's,
And that's the part of the separation that we've done.
okay.
Again, it was just trying to tie the two together so that we could do it as one project but we don't have to have them to do it. We can do it separately.
Does
And
anybody
still it
else
would be a good project.
have any other questions or comments, Gary? Did we answer your questions? Anybody else have anything? No. So I believe I had a motion and a second to approve the amendment number 4. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion would carry. Mr. Waples, you're going to talk to us about Lafayette Avenue now.
Okay. Lafayette is a project that we started back in 2012. Again, we put that project on hold because of water funds that we had. So once we had the rate increases, we started moving this project forward. In this project, we are seeing some additional cost. It has exceeded what we believe, or what the engineering company believed was going to be required for extension of time for inspection services, and some additional cost. So what we are here today to ask the board for is for some of these additional cost, a change order. We're asking that the board approve additional compensation for the CSX review of the crossing, which is a $6,000 extra cost at this time. That fee may go down as they go through the review. That's the top end of that fee requirement. It starts at $2,500. 6,000 to the top end, but again, we want to make sure that the project is not slowed down. So the additional compensation for the inspection extension, which is a $41,400, and then compensation for travel and mileage for $1,672, bringing the total to $49,072.
Okay. Who's got some questions or comments for Mr. Waples concerning the Lafayette Avenue project?
I assume this contract is a time and material contract, and they're just asking for their not to exceed fee to be increased.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's a great point, Gary. I would like this motion, if anyone so chooses to make it, to encompass a not to exceed each of the subtotals that they presented. Like not to exceed 6,000 for CSX, not to exceed 6,000 for the 41.4, inspection costs.
So you're
I'm
wanting
just
a
not sure
by line.
that they're gonna account for that separately. I don't know. They'd have to if we did that, I guess. For inspection, they're gonna have a person out there. I guess they're saying now they may have to have a person out there longer because they're asking for another 41,400.
Right, and the contractor is basically telling them that the process of just at least getting underneath the bridge is now gonna take them 3 weeks with the subcontractor to do this boring. CMT believes that it'll only take 1 week. Again, there's a difference of opinion, but we're trying to cover those costs to make sure that we don't have to come back to the board again for that. So this is a not-to-exceed cost, and hopefully what we'll see is quite a reduction in some of this cost, especially the inspection cost.
So all these fees are related to the railroad crossing?
Yes, basically.
Well, then maybe we could ask them to account for their time separately for just everything pertaining to the railroad.
They
Break it down into these three.
estimated on a separate basis, didn't they, Bob?
I'm sorry?
They estimated them separately, didn't they, or did you break them out?
We broke them out.
Oh.
Again,
They may-
6,000 is
they may not
what they, no, I'm sorry, they broke it out. I didn't,
Oh,
this is their
okay.
numbers, I'm sorry. And that's why we broke it out. Yeah.
If they broke it out, we should be okay then. Wouldn't you think? I mean, it's a question, it's not a,
The only one that
They're
we,
just gonna have to be made aware of it, and it's gonna have to be a condition of their amendment or something, so that they're aware they have to keep it accounted for separately. They probably have a project number set up for inspection and all the inspection they've done on the whole job, so they would just need to know about it so they can set up a separate job number or something to account for it.
So this inspection of 41,400 is specifically for the railroad, or is it for the entire project?
I believe this was for specifically for the railroad. That's what we took it for, is why they did what they did, and that was why they're referencing the 3 weeks of extra time.
Seems like quite a bit for 3 weeks for one man. I don't.
It does too, Gary. But again, this is just what they did. And again, they are,
This isn't for 3 weeks, Bob, this is for 3 months.
no, this is for much longer time. The 41,400 is for also it's got to be for the extension of what they just allowed for on the stormwater connection down at Chicago. It must be. And so what we're approving is not to exceed that total cost. It's got to be. I can't see how it couldn't be. I'm sorry, I could have swore that yes, you're right. Improvements for the water.
Contractor given an extension of time or something?
Yes, there's been quite an extension of time. They were given, was it 9, till July is what they were, so, and the project was already supposed to be almost done now, so.
I guess I'm confused, if the project scope didn't change, why is the cost of inspecting a project that,
The project to last longer, again, part of it's been, there's been 2 things that were added to the project, and that's why I'm going back and I'm trying to go through it, sorry. There was an additional amendment from the Storm Board that they just passed, which was for the addition of Chicago Street. And that could be part of that 5-month period of time. Then there was the addition of what it's cost them in time for the CSX. So those were the 2 issues. the scope of this whole project is the 41.4. So whether that hammers us, that whole total amount, I do not believe it will.
Jeff, it may be too early for you to say, but you have confidence that we'll get some of that 6,000 back, or at this point, you're not sure?
I'm really not sure. You know, I've not had experience dealing with them, so I can't, I would hate to speculate. In my conversation with them, they thought that it would be less. The gentleman told me that he thought 6,000 was extremely high, but,
It is the high end.
so.
The stormwater added some stuff and changed some stuff.
Yes, they did.
Why are we having to pay the inspection costs on that? Why wouldn't they be picking up a big piece of that?
Why would we? We would not pay all of that. You're right.
So this 41.4 is not all ours?
I don't believe it is, now that, I'm sorry, I do not believe that is. I believe that is for the whole project, is that 41. And what we needed to do was make you aware of that cost, because that cost is still something that is going to be divided up into the utility.
What's our share?
I've got that written here.
That changes the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is this an item we should bring back to the next meeting to discuss further?
I think we need to, but I think it's time sensitive too.
Well,
Is this time sensitive?
is this time sensitive?
Could this go off to the next meeting?
I don't believe that it would affect the project because, when I say that, part of this we've already done. As far as the CXX, we've already had CMT go ahead and do that portion. We've already said that that needed to happen. Now, far as the other cost for the total inspection, that is something that I believe the Storm Board also has to approve too, because again, the contract is with both of us.
Well, then, if this is not time sensitive, if this is not gonna wreck the train, I would make a motion we table till we have accurate details.
Agree, I think we need some more info to be accurate, so I'd second it if we don't have that information tonight.
Yeah, I guess it'd be nice to know. I don't know all the circumstances behind the granting of the extension time for the contractor, but, you know, if it wasn't legit, then my question would be, should we be paying any more inspection at all? Shouldn't the contractor be paying additional inspection? But
At this point, I do have a motion on the table I do have a motion to table this item till our next board meeting and ask Bob to clarify some of these items for us. We have a motion and a second.
Does the board have this sheet, which is basically CMT's scope of work for the water main improvements and construction services?
It's dated April 11th.
No date on it. Sorry, I think there's a date on it.
No, there's no date on
There's
it.
a date on the cover sheet.
It's a project scope, fee data, Lafayette water main improvements, construction observation and services.
See, on there, it talks about Lebanon Stormwater Board. So I did have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on it? All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Okay.
opposed? Bob, the next meeting, could you narrow
Yes.
this down for us, please?
Yeah, we'll narrow that down for you.
Please, thank you.
Okay.
We're also now going to talk about the grit classifier, some repairs that were done to it.
Yes, the grit classifier went down, it's a grit removal machine, it's from Lakeside. We got a quote from Lakeside for the replacement of that, which is just the material, and that was for over $11,000. And what we did was, the guys went in and took a look at this a little bit closer. They took the initiative to go outside the box, and it was really hard to get Lakeside to agree to do certain things for us, like to cut a shaft and to do it, because we would have had to remove part of the wall to be able to stick the shaft back in. The guys went back in and contacted a company that manufactures augers and got them to send that to us, or to build that for us, which fits the description as what was provided by Lakeside. So now, instead of spending $11,500, we spent about $1,500 for the Lakeside base piece, and then we spent another $800, or a little over $833 for the auger piece. So we cut that down to right around $2,000 instead of $11,000. So the guys did a great job at doing that.
Well, make sure you give them a big attaboy from all of us
Yeah.
It
for
was,
doing that. That's
yeah,
phenomenal.
that was over and beyond, so that was a great job from the guys, absolutely.
Yes, very much appreciated.
So the gentlemen you're specifically talking about were Ron Holloman, Brian Shelley, John Lashley, Tony Green, and I'm missing one name. Tyler.
Tyler, yeah.
Tyler, thank you.
Yes.
So please tell them thank you from us.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job. Yeah.
Anybody have anything you want to add to that, any comments?
Said it all. Good job.
Exactly, that speaks to the quality of people that we have working at Lebanon Utilities. It exemplifies that, and it's excellent, thank you.
Yeah, we've got a great team.
Great.
Right?
So Bob, don't go anywhere. Talk to us about the quality of our water.
Oh, as you know, every year we have to do a water quality report, a CCR. And in that report, we have to basically provide what's in our water quality. And see if this can. Okay. Trying to get this thing to pull up so you can basically see it. In here, we have parameters that are required by the state when we have anything tested. And this goes out to all the public, and it goes out to all the restaurants or food services or any kind of hotel or anybody that uses that water. So we do this every year. And what we've already done is, this has already been turned into IDEM. They've already looked at it. The numbers jive that we came up with what they believe is appropriate. We also have in here literature about our water. It also shows what our pumpage is. So, and it talks in pretty good depth about what we can put in there in just a page. Again, we'd love to have more data, and we could always put in more. Vanessa has brought in maybe like 3 or 4 pages of stuff, and we've had to whittle it down to be able to get what is required by the state.
So in summary, our water's good, we don't have any issues, nothing we need to be concerned about.
Nope, it's in really good shape, I would say, for the general public for what we have, yes.
Great.
Yeah, very nice.
And again, another attaboy, thank you to you and your staff for keeping that water safe. We don't have any issues. Do you have anything you'd like to bring up for Bob on that water safety and the water report? All right, Mr. Waples, one more time.
Okay. And the last thing that we're looking at, I believe, was the
The loadings, the influence,
what?
the influent loadings.
Yes. When, I'm looking for my sheet right now. What we're seeing from some of the loadings that we're presently getting, they fluctuate still from like maybe 95 milligrams and to about 130 suspended solids, clear up to 500 in suspended solids. So the fluctuations that we're seeing are some really high numbers, and because of that, and our limits are for suspended solids are 250, and our limits for BOD or for suspended solids. So we're having some issues where we're trying to get some people on board to what they discharge to us. We've invited them over to the plant. We've had talks with their management. We've also had talks with their operator and invited them into our lab and showed them things that they might be looking at or need to look at. In that, though, we are still seeing issues that can affect us long-term that will impede our ability to store solids for extended periods of time, over 90 days. And in the wintertime, we do not have a permit by item to land apply. So what we're asking is that we start looking at a centrifuge or a piece of equipment. So we're presently looking at or discussing with a company a centrifuge, of what we might be able to do to be able to reduce that threat of having an issue with IDEM. So what we're looking at is a contract with this company to bring in a device and to test it out at our facility. We've met with that company a couple times now. We've had them look at our facility and look at how it can be hooked up in our facility. We've looked at what we're going to need for storage of that. What we're shooting for is trying to get somewhere between 20 and 30% solids. The cost of this equipment right now for the rental is at $5,000. And that we believe we will make that up. The amount of sludge that we're going to be reducing by doing this is going to be roughly about a savings of not 14. It'll be roughly about $9,000 savings by doing this.
For 1 week?
Yes. Because what we're going to be doing is we're taking our solids that we would normally haul, and we're roughly taking about 300,000 gallons, and at $3 cents a gallon, that roughly comes to about 14 grand. So that is going to go away. So as that goes away, this $5,000 that we're looking at for testing this out will pay for itself. And because it will pay for itself, we think it's basically a no-brainer to do. We also believe that this is what we are going to need to end up doing for the future. We've had some talks with these people, and they have the same equipment in stock that is used, and we've gotten a quote from them to, not a quote, we are getting a ballpark idea that they were shooting towards us. If we wanted to purchase 2 of these things, we could get it for $400,000, which again would pay for itself. We spend about $130,000 a year in sludge. So when you start thinking about what we could do with this thing, it will pay for itself rather quickly. Now, what we've started to do is also look at how this might go about. We haven't nailed down how we're going to do part of this, but we're thinking that we can do this as a cost or energy savings program, and that we can do that with Bowen Engineering. They've done this for other companies. We also believe that Butler Fairman has done this, and that Wessler has also done this as well. And we're looking at how we're going to proceed to do that. We haven't done that. We're still in the early stages yet. We just want to see how this works out. The cost that we use this for is also can be used to, will be deducted from the purchase price if we buy this equipment from them at some time in the future. The guys are making some excursions to review this equipment to make sure that other cities are not having issues with it. Citizens bought a bunch of them. I think they bought 5 of them. Also, so did Fisher's, bought 1. So they're going to go take a look at some of these, and we're going to come back with some information. But again, we believe that this is a no-brainer for us. This is going to work really well to help us. And it was within my budget to approve, but we just wanted the board to be aware of it because we think it's such a great thing.
You went ahead and for 1 week, you're going to test this thing out.
Yep.
See how it does. Okay. Okay, great. So any other questions for Bob regarding this issue?
I just, I guess my own personal thoughts would be, at some point in time, I'd like to have a spreadsheet in front of me showing an evaluation of not only that alternative, but other alternatives with capital cost, O&M cost, and what the present worth analysis would be over a 20-year period.
And we can probably get that for you too.
Okay.
As far as the OM cost between a centrifuge and a belt press is basically that the belt press needs to be maintained. We cannot walk away from that once we turn it on. That requires manpower. So if we have manpower, that's a huge cost, where we believe the centrifuge, again, is something that we can turn on and walk away from and really not have any.
Just saying there's other factors.
Yes, there is.
Electrical usage.
Electrical cost is huge, or is quite a change, but we can get that for you, Gary.
Any other things? Bob, thank you.
Thank you.
For everything today. We appreciate it very much. We'll let you go now. Item number 11. I have asked the board, I have a commitment on, I believe it's May the 18th, that I cannot get out of, and I'd like to ask the board a favor to reschedule the May 18th board meeting to May 16th, so I won't have to miss anything. No, we're okay.
If it is, this one's 2 hours earlier. So
Okay.
theirs is at 7.
So we won't run into them.
Okay.
We need a motion to change.
Yeah, it'd be the same time, same place.
And you're right, Jim, it is.
I'll make a motion to change the Monday, May 8th, or I'm sorry, Wednesday, May 18th meeting to Monday, May 16th, if no one else has a conflict.
Great, I have a motion and a second to move the board meeting. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well, I thank you guys for being flexible with that. Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion we approve the claims.
Second.
All right, again, we got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving the claims, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Good. Mr. Whitman, I believe, has some comments as general manager.
Yes, thank you. Lebanon Utilities has cause to celebrate as we have 3 new electrical journeyman linemen, Matt Myhill, Nick Elliott, and Dustin Shirley. We have had a shortage of individuals in this position for some time, causing both Pete Shepard and Corby Unrow, both journeyman linemen, to accept extra duties, including being on call every other weekend. Matt, Nick, and Dustin completed the 4-year line apprentice program and passed the testing to earn this promotion. On behalf of Lebanon Utilities, I congratulate Matt Myhill, Nick Elliott, and Dustin Shirley.
Great, that's phenomenal.
Awesome,
That's
awesome,
phenomenal.
awesome. Yeah.
That's-
Additionally, this Friday, April 22nd, is Earth Day. This marks the anniversary of the birth in 1970 of the modern environmental movement. At that time, Americans were slurping leaded gas through massive V8 engines. Industry belched out smoke and sludge with little fear of legal consequences. Air pollution was commonly accepted as the smell of prosperity. Environment was a word that appeared more often in spelling bees than on the evening news. Earth Day has reached its current status as the largest secular observance in the world, celebrated by more than 1 billion people as a day of action that changes human behavior and provokes policy changes. Today, the fight for a clean environment continues with increasing urgency as the ravages of climate change become more manifest every day. We invite everyone to be a part of an Earth Day celebration. And finally, please remember, be safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anything want to add to that? Questions, comments, anything? Anybody have anything else they want to bring before the board?
I think it's great to see those 3 new linemen come on.
It is.
Congratulations. They're great people, good guys, young guys. They're going to be here for the long run.
Yes, they will.
Yeah. God bless them. Thank you.
Open up for public comment. Anybody have any, in the audience, anybody want to say anything? No? So Linda, our next board meeting will be May the 4th?
Yes, sir.
At 4 o'clock? At this point,
5 o'clock.
I keep saying, you keep trying. I keep trying. 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. At this point, do we have any working sessions?
Not at this point.
Not at this point. Okay. So with that, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody want to stay longer?
You can.
Great. Motion carries. Thank you so very much for tuning in, and everybody have a great evening. Good night.